Thank you for joining me again on TMI Tuesday as we x-ray issues on EDO 2020 politics with a special focus on electoral pledges and performance. You agree with me that whenever it's prior to elections, you hear about party candidates promising many things and building a lot of promises whereby the electorate always wait and yearn for that opportunity to get these promises fulfilled. But somewhere along the line, some promises disappear from being fulfilled. Well, how does that really pan out as we get close to September 19, where the governorship election in Edo State will be witnessed? Joining me to discuss this very important and sensitive topic, from my immediate left, I have a political analyst, Frank Ehiosun. Thanks, Frank, for joining me on the show.
Quite a pleasure.
And next to him, I have a political activist, Idris Zekari. Thanks, Idris, for coming.
Thank you for having me here today.
Like I was speaking, you know, prior to elections, we hear government functionaries or politicians, basically, you know, coming up with huge promises. And somewhere along the line, after they've taken a bite on this and being given the mandate, these promises seem to go into oblivion. And now, again, what is the relevance of electoral pledges in this context, looking at the case of Edo governorship race? Frank.
It's central to the political process that people want to govern, contest to govern as in citizens in a state, in a nation. You must come with the ideas that you are putting forth, the things you have for the people. That is what you must come to campaign with. That's basic. So making electoral promises is normal, it's universal, the world over. I think what matters is promises that are traceable, that can be tracked, where there could be some level of M&E in the process of the policy implementation, as in the citizens can do monitoring and evaluation that is time-based. So it's normal. Political parties in all spheres, even in dictatorships in quotes, they still come with promises. They must come tell the people what they want to do for them. That is the underlying factor in the pursuit of political leadership.
Okay, if you say that is normal, is it also normal for them to make promises and at the end don't fulfill it, like what we are having in contemporary Nigeria?
No, that's not normal. That's why I said just now that there should be some level of accountability. If you come to me and you tell me that you want me to vote for you for certain reasons, the reasons are outlined. I take note of the reasons as a citizen. And I monitor your performance in office to ensure that what you are afraid that you're going to do before the commencement of your taking the oath of office is complied with. Where there is no such compliance, I would, of course, the citizens will react duly by ventilating their views and ultimately by taking a different side when the election comes subsequently, when there's time for another election. They want for a different candidate or a different party, as the case may be.
Okay. Okay, Idris, this has been on to a point where the electorate now think politicians do their business and they are into the office or vying for positions for personal aggrandizement and not for the people. And how do we situate this and deal with it?
Well, first of all, in total agreement with my co-discussant, political pledges, as it is espoused in the topic, but I prefer to call it political manifesto. Okay. Candidates in any political party, running for any political office, is a necessary document, or should I say necessary action, depend whether it's verbal now or written, for that candidate to seek for that office. Because you cannot give a man responsibility when he does not know what he's going to that place to do. So when the purpose of a process is not defined, that is when you see all the kind of abuses you see. Just to speak to your question, you meant whether we...
how do we deal with the challenges where they bring programs,
manifestos
and pledges, and at the end they fail to fulfill it?
Yes, that is why the Constitution of the Federal Republic is so unique.
Yeah.
It provides a lot of areas to deal with that. First and primary, the people's power, and that is regular elections. In Nigeria, every 4 years, we have elections. So the people's power is to use the power of their permanent voters card, in the case of Nigeria now, to check if a politician has done well or has not done well. And in this case,
but that's after a period of time.
Yes,
after 4 years.
But there is also another way, and that is when the representatives of the people. And now this brings me to the indispensability of either state house of assembly, state houses of assembly, or the two arms of the National Assembly, whether it is unicameral or a bicameral legislature, where you have one or when you have more than one. In Nigeria, we have more than one, the two. Now this brings me to the other point, where the people's representative have the power, have the onus to say, sir, the people that sent us said you promised this, you have not done this, and you have abused your office, and for that reason you will face impeachment.
Okay, but has it been the case? Looking at the Nigerian.
Yes, we have had, but mostly the impeachment tool has been the impeachment tool that is meant to protect the masses has been a political tool for political actors in Nigeria now. Okay. But it is a necessary tool to keep everybody in check, because government is all about checks and balance.
Okay, let's look at a distinctive way of bringing our programs, because every time we hear about this party saying that this is my manifesto, this one is my manifesto, they just bring programs together, and it doesn't really show a peculiar nature of what that party really is bringing on board, as we used to have it in the early decades.
Before I throw light on the issue you just raised, okay, I would go further a bit in what my colleague affirmed. Now, I really push it a little to the extreme. With when I say extreme, talking about impeachment as a measure
to check it,
domiciled in the arm with the responsibility of as in checkmating that realism, so-called. Now, it's unfortunate that we're where we are.
Unfortunate.
When Montesquieu propounded his stories of separation of powers way back over about 300 years ago, he highlighted some fundamentals that pertains to checks and balances to ensure that an arm of government is not a god unto itself, and emphasize the quality of the arms of government. Now, I said it's unfortunate that where we are because presently we cannot beat our chest in this country and say that there is equality of the arms of government. Some people even affirm that what we have in Nigeria is 1.5, or some say 2 arms of government, while one is a mere appendage. Now that is unfortunate. On a normal day, the reason why we are talking about the recourse to a 4-year interrogation of the leadership of those in power is because of the failure of the relevant arms of government to play their roles.
To play their roles.
Impeachment is very, very far from it. It is the peak of the lines of action.
It's a last resort.
There is conventional oversight. Every action that the executive is meant to perform is supposed to be oversighted by relevant committees in the House and Court, in the legislature, yes. At the level of the state. You know, it's at the federal level we have a bicameral system, but the state is unicameral. Now, so if the legislative arm were as functional as it was projected to be in a regular democratic system, we wouldn't have the challenges we have with reference to people who are elected being held to account as in performing what they promised, their manifesto being followed to the extent.
Stricto sensu.
Stricto sensu. So that's why I said it's unfortunate that we're here. Okay. Thank God that the law is being signed now that guarantees some level of independence to the legislative arm.
Even to the judiciary.
Yeah, judiciary too.
To the judiciary.
I'm sure in the next, say, 4 to 7, 8 years or thereabout, we'll be able to see the clear fruits.
The
legislature will no longer be an appendage of the executive or tied to the apron string of the executive. Okay. And that's an unfortunate disservice. Now, put that aside. Coming to what you affirmed concerning the manifesto of political parties.
Yes, and not being distinctive in terms of looking at their political ideology, if there is.
It's
a far cry.
If calling it a far cry is an understatement. If you take it back to where we're coming from, of course, we copied our presidential system of government from United States of America. Generally, there's the school of thought that has been accepted as like universal divide. They say the left and the right. So different scholars come with certain terms to address certain categories, either extreme left, extreme right, the centrist, the moderate folks, and all what have you. No, but I think let's just get it. It goes back to the reality in French, way back in, I think, 1789. There was an argument concerning the nature of administration. People were tired of the autocracy, the extremity of the power that was displayed by the reality as at that time in France. And when the argument was getting heated on and on and on, there were those who were for more of hierarchical, as in relevance, placing premium on the powers of royalty. Yeah. And there were those who were on the side of reducing the influence of royalty, promoting more of what pertains to the people. Those who were promoting what pertains to more of royalty were the ones they call the right wing. Yes. Funny enough, what happened was that they sat on the right-hand side of the hall. Then those who were of the view that there should be more to the people, they sat on the left-hand side. That is where the left and the right has its origin from. Okay. Over time in the 18th and 19th century, it was imbued in the in the bulk of the countries in Europe, London, Germany, even in the US. So on and on and on, it came from that point to say leftists and rightists. If you go to America, for example, the average Republican, the Republicans are rightists, the Democrats are leftist. If you come back to Nigeria, in the First Republic, we had so many political parties. But prime among them were the Action Group, the Northern People's Congress, and the NCNC. You know, it was originally National Council of Nigeria and Cameroons. When the Cameroon divide was edged out of Nigeria, it now became National Council for Nigerian Citizens. Yes. Initially led by Babakoli, when he passed, Nnamdi Azikiwe, who was then the secretary, became the national leader. Good knowledge of history. Now, as of that time, see, if you check out their manifestos, apart from the ideological meanings were defined. The Northern People's Congress is the extreme right. You don't need too much research to make that conclusion. It's originated from a cultural group called German Mutanen Arewa. And you know the aristocratic and hierarchical, monarchical as a line of leadership. So that is their programs distinctive. Very distinctive. There was due emphasis. You know, let me put a point clear. A simple difference between the left and the right is actually the fact that while the left places premium on social equality, the right places premium on social hierarchy. That's a simple difference. So if you hear extreme left, it depends on the extent to which they want to push it. You know, those that want to talk about the Communist Manifesto, they say that is the extreme of the left, in an attempt to ensure that the masses of the people get much more than what is even possibly available. So the Northern People's Congress was quite extremely rightist. The Action Group, God bless Obafemi Awolowo, he was categorical in his definitions that the ideology of the Action Group was democratic socialism. As at that time, the Action Group stood for, like what you have, the Democrats in Nigeria. Yes. The prevailing policy was center-left. The NCNC was more of the center-right. We came all through, unfortunately, in 1966, the military guys invaded the network and the process was truncated. So I think that was where we missed it. And we missed it there, but we didn't miss it in total. Because there was some semblance of restoration in the Second Republic. The UPN, anchored by the same Obafemi Awolowo, did not deviate from its center-left policy. The other political parties, the MPN, which of course was like an offshoot from the MPC, did not quite deviate from what it stood for, no doubt. If you go study their manifesto, you see some clear-cut distinction that reflects their proclivities as political parties. They are leanings either to the left or to the right, as the case may be, or being centrist. Now, even when that was aborted, unfortunately, the last time I think in this country we had a semblance of peculiar political leaning was in the botched Third Republic. In that case, the political parties were not the ones that chose their path. It was the military man that imposed political doctrine. He said a little to the left, a little to the right. Now it was a good one. The NRC, was the center right. That's little to the right. Then the SDP was the center left, little to the left. He created that balance of his own accord. Now it was good. Unfortunately, the nation was short-lived. The First Republic as we have it today, and peruse the manifesto of the PDP, the APC, so many political parties, there's
everything got watered down.
It's not about everything getting watered down per se. It's about the fact that there's no peculiar identity in terms of distinction as to what you stand for, what you pursue. Are you center left? Are you extreme right?
So that left us to a point where because there's no distinction, people can defect easily from one
very easily. Very easily. But before I round off this line of discourse, I must give some little credit to the PDP. If you peruse the manifesto of that party, first of all, it is the only party that has survived this Fourth Republic from 1999 till date. When we started, there were three. We had the APP, we had the AD, we had the PDP. APP is history, AD is history, and the PDP has remained. So even when they have some unfortunate shortcomings, which is not unexpected because of the terrain we are in.
All right, thank you.
Give them some
thank
credit.
you. I'll come back to you. Now, Zachary Idris, thank you, Frank, first, for taking us through that political history as it pertains to political parties losing it in terms of political ideology. Now, taken from what Frank said, now there seems to be this challenge people are having, the electorate, some of them are having with because they say that we have 14 political parties going for the gubernatorial race in Edo State.
In Edo State,
yes. But basically, some political pundits like you could say that it's just between two horses. Two horse race. Yes.
You know, you
have the PDP.
Yes,
you have the PDP. You have the APC.
Yes.
Some political pundits again still believe that because of the antecedents of these two parties in governance, they are feeling indifferent about these parties because of their antecedents in governance. What do you make of this, and how can the electorate situate a change?
Okay, first of all, my co-discussant have gone down memory lane because I don't have that kind of benefit because I'm not a political scientist. So I give him kudos for that lecture. But to speak to the issues, when one part fails, you look at the other. Political parties ought to have manifestos and ideologies they run by.
Ought to have.
Ought to. Like he has said, they do have, but like he has said, they are so intertwined and interwoven that you cannot separate A from B.
They do have.
They do have.
Back to that.
They are manifestos. Yes,
Okay.
the APC has a manifesto.
Okay.
The PDP has a manifesto.
Okay.
But unfortunately, because we are here to tell our people the truth, their manifestos are so intertwined that you really cannot separate A from B.
Not distinctive.
However, their ideology is a bit different. One is a bit progressive, and the other is a bit conservative.
Okay, so you can situate ideologies.
Yes,
from
you can
this.
situate that. But there's nothing wrong in being conservative or being progressive. At the end of the day, how much you're able to use to touch the lives of the people is what ultimately matters. But just to dwell more on manifesto, when you now look and you can no longer, to help our people now that will be making choices, because the power rests with the people. When you have checked the political parties and you can no longer come to the conclusion as to their manifesto, you now look at individual manifesto. That is where I have always advocated that anybody who is seeking public office must know what is going there to do. That is now the individual manifesto. Right. You cannot possibly run for an office and you have not told us what you plan to do when you get to that office. And individual manifestos must be time bound. Time boundary now means you must tell us in 4 years, this is what I'm going to do in 4 years. Don't give us manifesto that don't give us a manifesto that you plan to leave for your successors. So in 4 years, you can say, okay, this is the direction we are going. And when we go in this direction, whoever is coming with his own manifestos at the strength of what we've done can now factor in our own work into their work subsequently. Because you may be unfortunate to have someone who is not from a political party taking over from you. You may also be unfortunate to have someone who does not believe in what you are doing to take over from you. The most important thing is that you must have touched people, you must have touched infrastructure, you must have touched health and all other of those in that your first 4 years. It is on the strength of that you ask for a second term. It is on the strength of that you ask for another term for your party, bringing another candidate. So that is it. But just to quickly backtrack.
Okay.
The people are not completely helpless. And impeachment is a tool, is there. It's a tool that needs to be used from time to time so that people will be whipped in line, especially politicians.
but why is that your first point of call?
No, because
like he did say, could be like a last resort. There are other various viable ways you can also
explain something
whip them online.
Yes. I take up a job. I pick up a job from a company. What is the most potent tool to whip me in line when I have completely deviated from the vision of the company? Is to ask me to look elsewhere. And that is it. That is the power of impeachment.
Okay.
Also, the people also have power. The people can also protest. What we are doing now, civil advocacy, can also be done to whip government in line. Don't fold your hands and sit in your room and think something will change unless you say something about it. If you see something not going well, speak about it. Don't keep quiet. We have kept quiet for too long. That's all we have, what we have. See, for example, what is going on in the National Assembly with the NDDC probe and the rest. I was thinking by now, a lot of persons will be crying because it cuts across. You now see now that you cannot separate this from that. But so that we don't dwell too much, we don't go so far. In Edo State, for example, elections are just by the corner. Elections, September 19, less than 60 days from today. By now, we should be engaging the candidates, the persons running for this election, especially the two-horse race now, or the two individuals in the two horses. It's only two horses that are running. It's mostly two horses that are running. There are others, but it's mostly those two that we run to. Unless by interventions of the court, they remove those two and another one court. But it will not. It's not a likely scenario. Now they should be interrogating the individuals running for these offices based on their manifesto. One has had the opportunity to do 4 years and is coming for a second term. You should ask, what was your manifesto then? How have you achieved it up till now? And what is your manifesto going forward? The other one is coming and is running for his first term. You can say, sir, what is your manifesto? Let's talk about it. What do you plan to do in infrastructure? What do you plan to do in education? What do you plan to do differently in health? So it is on the basis of this that we are supposed to be engaging the candidates right now.
Okay.
Let's keep the party aside a little bit and engage the candidate, because at the end of the day, you see how easy it is for people to live, to win office and carry everything. A party put you in office, worked for you, the entire structure. You just take that ticket and go to another party. You see how easy it can be. We saw it in Edo State. We have seen it elsewhere. So that is why we must now engage the individual. For me, as opposed to the political party.
Okay, I think you have a reaction to that, what he said. A lot of persons are saying that, well, if you put PDP in, you put APC in, it's the same thing. So because we're looking at character, we're looking at performance, and going back, way back, the PDP, the APC have been tried. But the electorate seems not to be satisfied with the performance by these parties.
I'm laughing. My colleague likes the word impeachment so much. He uses it so many times again. He was talking to us and saying, well, thank God that the framers of the Constitution made some clear-cut provisions that ensures that even if impeachment is an option, it's not a small fry that you just do without due consideration.
You can't easily actualize it.
So, the process is...
There are a lot of checks.
The world over. So checks are put in place.
Yeah.
Because if they are not put in place, people could wake up on the wrong side of the bed and driven by ego and nothing pertaining to public good, they will just decide that somebody should go. That is the truth. In Nigerian history, how many people have been impeached? They are barely 3 or thereabout, or 4, as in executives. Only one was done a bit with some normalcy. That was the case of Barabi Musa during the Second Republic. The others happened during OBJ's time. They were coordinated by EFCC, where some members will be taken somewhere, even when they are minority. They flout the law and just go about it. Now, that was done for a reason. And so, impeachment, the people can have a choice to want to impeach. The chief judge, who has a vital role to play, can look at the reasons and affirm that by the strength of constitutional provisions, this does not meet the target. Now, that does not deviate from the capacity of those with such mandate to carry their function. I just said that to affirm the fact that impeachment is a long process. You don't need to get to the peak when you could have started from the base. Before he performed the first floor or second floor, where we did, you did not see it, you couldn't have called for action or take up some action, measures to ensure deterrence.
Okay, but again, do you agree with some who believe that the antecedents of these parties, basically that's the question I also asked you, do you agree that some who believe that the antecedents of these parties seem not to make the people have confidence in these parties?
Yeah, I'm not contesting that. No, it's unfortunate, you know, the political parties have not fared well. It's not just about the political parties. The entire system, I've always affirmed for so long a time, is rigged. The nation state is rigged. The nation state is not driven by fundamentals as it pertains to competence, competitiveness, getting the best out of what is within reach and all such stuff. So those fundamentals are part of the variables that popped us into this sphere we are in today, that there's little distinction between political parties. But I still maintain the fact that even when there is distinction between political parties, some still have an edge in some areas over the others.
Really?
Yes, that's the truth. Now, coming to the elections we're talking about, particularly did say sometime in late 1760s that he does not know, he does not have a means by which he can tell the future, but by the events of the past. Okay. So if anybody is coming to serve the public, the easiest way to affirm what he could do tomorrow is to check out what he did yesterday. Except what he did today. Because nobody sees the future. But when you see what the person did yesterday, what he did today, you can make a projection.
Okay.
And say, because in life, even if an individual were Jekyll and Hyde, everybody has pattern. All species, not just Homo sapiens.
Okay.
There are patterns across the space. So anybody that comes to this field of leadership must come with such patterns that people could experience and say, oh, this guy, he said this yesterday and he did it.
Okay, but if you have to say that, looking at the APC and the PDP, or the candidates, for instance, Godwin Obaseki and Pastor Sagi Ezeyamo, will you say that there has been some performance among these candidates?
Yes, I could say that with, ordinarily, I have a political conviction where no matter what government does, much is expected. So there is no use praising government. But that does not mean that I shouldn't acknowledge what is done and possibly make remarks in areas where there are shortcomings. But in the case of Godwin Obaseki, for Christ's sake, the guy came from a peculiar background, in quotes, where it was known that he's not a conventional politician. He's not driven by the fundamentals, as it were, in our political system. He made promises in the course of contesting. Central to the promises were job creation. He didn't just say job creation. He said he was going to ensure that 200,000 jobs were created within the 4 years of his administration.
The first 2 years?
No, 4 years. He didn't say first 2 years. Within the 4 years of the administration, it was stated very clearly.
Was that actualized?
As at November 11th, 2019, the third day of the administration, it's in the dailies. Experts in taking statistics of job creation came and took their statistics. It was published with scientific Nobel. They affirmed that 156,994 jobs had been created. Let me go further. They didn't stop at that. They broke down the sectors in which the jobs were created. The model by which they were measured. This is July, about 7 or 8 months after. There has been no counter to that view because it is not contestable. Now, if as at the third year of the administration, 156,994 jobs have been created, I've not gotten any data presently. There is no peculiar agency that has come to take stock. But I believe that if by the third year you have gone up to about 70 or so %, at least by the fourth year you have completed the schedule. That is the truth. And the evidence is right there. We see it everywhere. Before those guys came to take their statistics, you see where they do job training on and on and on. You see where they give people soft loans in different sectors, the agricultural sector, the ICT sector, the media sector, even artisans are empowered, they are trained. All such are captured within the purview of the job creation he talked about. So I make bold to say that in that area he performed. Secondly, this guy came on board and he made a promise that he was going to make taxation and livelihood easier for the people. I thought it was a joke because for so long a time we've not had it's rosy. The more they say it will be rosy, the thicker the darkness that comes forth. But I make it very clear presently. Those who do contracts in this state, let me start from that point. They will tell you their gist. In those days, you register with Ministry of Works. You register, every agency wants to do job. You register with Sopadec. You register with Subeb. You register with MDG. You register with... Now, in each of these registrations, sometimes in London you have spent more than 2 or 3 million. Now, this guy came in and set up a Edo State Public Procurement Agency. My friend told me about it. He said, he called me, he gave me from Lagos. He said, man, this is about 2 years ago. He said, this is good. Oh. Now we don't spend so much money again. Before you pay this for this, pay this for that. Now there's a central agency that ensures the ease of doing business.
Okay.
So you just go and bid in any of the agencies after doing your due registration with this central agency. That is part of the commitment he made when he was coming on board. In terms of tax collection, we saw how things have changed. The era of people being harassed to pay their taxes, which is contrapuntal to the principles of social justice, have been put in the past. Presently, people with scratch card can pay their dues. There's proper monitoring. There's better accountability. The guy has tried on that note. Let me highlight one other point. We used to have challenge with, I remember when I bought a land and trying to go and clear the stuff and what have you. Sometimes it seems as if I have to go for prayers before I go to the site I paid money for. Because I don't know the entourage of folks that will come and harass me.
Okay.
It was routine. You finish with this, other set comes in. It was under his administration that a law was passed that put aside the CBA animalism, in quote, that was prevalent in the state.
Okay.
So that's just to mention a few. Now, I can put, if I want to score him, he made a number of promises. Now, in human history, even in the best of government, since the approval rating model was embarked in America in 1937, of course, the people will go after. There's never been an administration where you have somebody so popular that you could score him, say, up to maybe 80–90%. So there must be some shortfalls. If I want to score him presently based on marrying his promises as at the time he was contending for this office against his performance index, I'll score him 70%.
Okay,
because I'm conservative.
I think that's your opinion about it.
Yes.
Well, in case you're just joining us, it's TMI Tuesday, and we're on Edo 2020 politics, electoral pledges, and performance. I've been having a chat with 2 young men, and Frank Ehiosun is a political analyst, and of course, Idris Zekari is a political activist, trying to situate the performance in respect of the promises made, pledges made, and how to bring about a balanced equation to have a virile government is the crux of today's discussion. Well, you heard what Frank said.
Yes,
do you have a contrary view?
Well, when positions like this are espoused, that's where the fangs of the activists are barehead. That's why you tickle them into action. But when we are discussing when we are discussing intellectual, that's why you saw earlier, my hands were folded. I was just learning because of the intellectual nature of
now it has become
what is on ground.
Okay.
Politics, promises vis-a-vis juxtaposed with what is on ground. Now he made references to some. First of all, the present governor didn't have a manifesto. He made promises. He didn't have a documented manifesto of what he ought to achieve within a specified period of time. But he made promises, most of which he didn't mention. I will remind him some. For example, he made a very huge promise then that I was very excited about, that by now, ships will be betting at Gelegele. There will be a Gelegele seaport. There will be a Benin Industrial Park. There will be a super highway from Gelegele, Upper Ekenwa to Okpila, so that all the farm produce, all the cement, all the natural resources that come from all these rural communities will be evacuated through Gelegele to either for export purposes or for consumption in other areas. That would have completely revolutionized the economy of Edo State. As we speak, that promise has not been fulfilled, and it is likely not to be fulfilled. But just to speak to the issue...
Is that not being pessimistic, if you say so?
It's easy to see. Like he said, when you look at the past, you look at the present, you can determine the future. If by now, Gelegele was 50%, 60%, 30%, 70% completed. And we are seeing small ships coming, not canoe, because what we have now is canoe in Gelegele River. You see small ships coming, then you will know that very soon big ships, Maersk, will start coming to Gelegele. But so that we don't bother too much, just to speak to specific issues like the 200,000 jobs. And in these 200,000 jobs, I want to define the word, I want to talk about the word create. When God said in scriptures, let us create man in our own image and likeness, what he did was to create a man. He didn't create an environment for a man to be created.
No.
But he created the man. So when the man says...
But he created an environment.
He created a man and the environment.
Okay.
Because you need the environment to create the man.
Okay.
All right? But he did create a man. He didn't create the environment, fold his hands, and tell some of his friends that were not named to do the creation.
Okay. Now, that's the point of digression.
Yes, to speak to the issues.
Yes.
When people say the statistics are there, the figures are there, it's there on the street.
Unchallenged.
And purportedly unchallenged.
As he said.
I have not seen it. I read every document that comes out from this state. I have not seen those statistics. It's only verbal. Verbal pronouncement, and sometimes they come up with certain things that you really cannot tie to what is on ground.
Okay, you've not seen it. Doesn't mean that you've not seen it. Doesn't mean that it's not there.
It's almost.
Maybe you've not taken time to check.
Let me explain. Let me ask you one question.
Okay.
Who has been employed in Edo State Civil Service in the past 4 years, apart from senior special assistants? Has teachers been employed? Have doctors been employed? The answer is no. Have we employed the people sweeping the street are C4, World Bank. So which employment have you created?
So you are saying that there's no significant employment in that direction?
Yes, which employment have you created that has created these 200,000 jobs? But that is one. He also
you react to what is saying.
Then he spoke about tax collection, that it has completely revolutionized. As good, as interesting as that sounds on paper and in verbally, have you ever seen a bus driver? Yesterday my car had issues, so I entered the public bus. Have you ever seen a bus driver using ATM to pay tax through POS? I have not seen. Viewers at home can say whether they have seen POS driver putting his own ATM to pay tax.
Maybe you seem not to understand what he said, but I will give him room to clear some of these issues.
It is still the normal manual payment of taxes is still there. There's a little go to pay in the bank. It has always been there. It's a thing of choice. So it's different from, there are some persons who will never wait for NEPA to come and drag their light at home before they pay. There are some persons who will go and pay. That cannot be counted as an achievement in 4 years. Because we are talking of physical infrastructure, what you do that directly affects the lives of the people. Okay. You understand? So there were a lot, and like he clearly affirmed, Lagos contractors are the ones mostly benefiting from that revolution in the contract area where you now pay less.
Really?
Yes, he affirmed. He said it's from Lagos. So a lot of other things, we can talk about.
Okay.
I give you an example. When the governor entered office, his first port of call was Benin Technical College. As we speak, 3 years down the line, almost 4 years down the line, it is still a promise unfulfilled. Now, going forward, we should insist that the governor tells us what he intends to do in the next 4 years.
Going forward.
So that at the end of that 4 years, we can now carry what he has to do and say, sir, this is what you promised to do. This is what you have. These are the lapses. This is what you have not done.
Okay.
As of today, most of the big man promises that were made almost 4 years ago now, 90% have not been achieved. So he's scoring because he scored. Like he's a teacher in last class. He's scoring. Okay. So I want to compare performance, promises with performance.
Okay.
It's around 80.
Straight to your points with what he just said, because what he said, they could be very, very instrumental in this discourse.
Let me just first of all respond. Because I said my friend in Lagos. Let me tell you. Now, it's not about where he's from. He's from this state. He has his house in this state. It's just that he has his business headquarters in Lagos. He has his village.
Well, at least you said it. That's why they said that you can't what you say will be used against you in court. No. So that's why I said that.
I didn't say something wrong.
Okay.
Everybody is allowed to come and compete. I do business in Jos.
Okay.
I'm in Benin. I supply stuff in Lasco, in Jos. I go to Kano to hustle. So that purview of that narrative for me is pedestrian. It's unfortunate. I just said that by the side. Okay. Now, coming to the issue of job creation, like he said who has been employed in the civil service. Now, that is one area where I place premium on the candidacy of Godwin Obaseki. See, moderacy is a factor that permeates all decent schools of thought the world over. From the inception of his administration, in his actions and inactions, moderacy was one of the core factors that endeared me to him. Or that endeared him to me. Let me put it that way. How many people can state government employ? But for mention, there has been so many employments going on in the state government. There have been so many that took place. I'll give you one simple reference. Now, those who were employed in an agency that wasn't certified, there were those who were even in the rapid response scheme. The government decided to go and do new adverts when there are people who were already having jobs, but their jobs were not tenured, as in they could lose out in no time. They adopted them and posted them to different ministries and agencies. That is smart thinking. Secondly, how many people can the state government employ? When go back home, just the GSM companies were brought on board. Go and check the statistics. You say, oh, government did not. How does the government create jobs the world over? It's to ensure that there are incentives for people to do business.
Creating an enabling environment.
Enabling environment and access to funds, which is part of creating an enabling environment.
Okay, creating an example. Access to funds.
See how job is created.
Situate that.
Let's say I'm into fish farming.
Yeah.
Government, for example, did training for some people in that sector. If you just take a simple estimate, as small as say 5 per local government, just in the area of fish farming, you say, oh, a fish farm. There's no way you don't have like 2 or 3 persons employed to cater for it, as in to support the process. Now, if 5 people are empowered or motivated, are trained in fish farming, and those 5 employ 3 people each, 3 times 5 is 15. Multiply that by 10 local government. That is how job is created in different sectors. Just unbundling one value chain. You see, sectors, they are value chains. Government has a responsibility to ensure that the value chain is expanded for more people to participate. So that in your value addition, as far as contributing to the process of things flowing, you get benefits, which is termed employment in a sense.
Okay.
So when you say that where are the jobs created, I am telling you, the statistics that was put forth wasn't dumb. Daily Independent of November 12th, 2019. Not just Daily Independent, so many papers, so many dailies carry that stuff. Go and read it. I told you just now that 8 months after, if that stuff were not peculiar, if it were not genuine, it would have been countered the very next day the news was put out. 8 months after. And the agency that came to do it, their capacity is not in doubt. Not just their capacity. If you read the report, the details are broken down sector by sector. Sector by sector. So that is not the contention.
Okay, but like he said, he has not seen that report.
I've mentioned a number of
if the report was, the report, of course, like he has said, is as cogent as he has said. By now, you should be telling me, if you go to Sapele Road, you see that tall building there, they've employed 5,000 there. That's what I will listen to. One thing that is in the realm of speculation, because I'm a realist, is what I see.
If you're a realist,
I'm a statistician by training, but
not a state government.
I know the intrigues of statistics.
What you just mentioned just now, not even federal government can you come to building to say
that is intrigues. Excuse me, please. Can you let us have that? You said you know the intrigues of statistics.
Let me tell you one secret.
Yeah.
If you say I have 10 and I have about 10, have you said the same thing? You have not. I have 10 means 10. I have about 10 means you could have 11.
Okay, that's not definite. 9. That's not definite.
It's not definite.
What I said was definite.
Now, what he said.
I quoted the figure.
And if he said.
Yes, he quoted the figure 156,000.
156,994.
Yeah.
If it is solid.
You just heard that.
No, if it is as solid, I'm talking based on the strength of his own propagation.
Okay,
if it is as argument, if it is as solid as he has said, by now they should be saying so company in Benin Sapele Road has created 500 jobs. Okay. So company in Benin Sapele Road. Look, you do not gather ushers to attend to a program and list them as part of the job. I have followed through the Edo government policies on jobs. I am in Edo jobs. I've said it here before. I am in Edo jobs. And I can show you in my phone the kind of adverts that come here.
Okay.
If you want to do marriage now and you need ushers, you can write to them. They will put it out. And
that is not true. That is not true. Give an example. This is pedestrian.
I give you.
Edo jobs still.
Let me give you an example.
Testify.
Excuse me.
Let me give you an
example. You asked for an example. I'll give you one. Oxfam from Lagos. You know, we're always talking about Lagos when we talk about Edo these days. Oxfam from Lagos.
See, if you give an example, you must. It's not yet.
Yes, he's giving an example.
Okay. Oxfam from Lagos came to train youths on soilless farming. Soilless.
Yes.
You don't plant on the ground.
Really?
If you want to learn more about that, you have to give me a little to.
You plant in the air?
You plant in the air. But I will tell you the details of the air. Not here. I can't do it now. It's intellectual property.
That's wonderful. Okay.
Oxfam came to train people in Benin. And they used a venue that was built by the two administrations ago, Lucky Benedion, at ICE compound for the training, where what has now been renamed as a Edo Hub. It has always existed. It's not a new building. It was built by Benedion era. They used that.
It's not a new building.
It's not.
It's the same building that was built that is there today.
I see now. Inside I see.
It's the building that was there that is there.
Maybe you're talking about the premises. It's not new.
If the land is the same,
you're talking about the premises, but the building is new.
This is half truth. Okay, this is half truth.
Let us
take the picture of the building I want to get to finish. I'll come back to it.
So they came to train youths on soilless farming.
Okay.
And whether you believe it or not, as we speak, my name, because I attended that training, is on the Edo State government part of the job they claim to have created. I said, Edo State government created a job for me. Is training a job?
Can you substantiate on
yes,
that?
Of course. I was part of the training. This is flesh and blood. I was there. I was part of the training. I can mention the name of the trainer, but I don't know if that will be breaching NBC rules. The trainer came.
No, you don't need to mention names.
The trainer came, taught about soilless farming. We listened and we asked questions. And I later find out that for you to even rent a hall in that building, you pay a certain amount to government. So you cannot come then.
So how does that translate to you having a job?
How does that translate to you being you said getting a job in government or getting a job from government processes? Okay, you said you saw it where it was said that you've gotten a job. No, they added it is there. They'll give you the job form. Can you fill it and put your name and put your biodata, and it is now assumed that because you attended a training that happens everywhere, that happens in Lokoja, that happens in Abuja, that happens in Lagos, you have now been employed by those people. Okay, now you're making a point. That is the point. It's been assumed. So it is now. These are the arguments.
You made a vague point. See what he highlighted, that they paid money for the hall. Now, that speaks of a body that came to do his own activity. There are halls everywhere in the state. People can come from here to train people. That he said they paid for the hall. They have an idea of the amount they paid.
I don't want to be mistaken.
No.
I didn't
You're very clear.
I got the information that they paid a certain amount of government for using
the hall. That's what I'm telling you. That is not.
I said we paid. I didn't pay.
No, I'm telling you categorically that is not captured in this data that is talked about. Okay. See, you can Google it. It's written there. It's captured in very clear terms. Now this is what I'm talking about. I have so many people that I know of that tell me, "Wow, this thing is real. You don't need to know anybody." Okay. They do adverts for different sectors. Different sectors. People that have gained job from that stuff. I know personally, not 5, not 10. And the guys were appealed. I mean, they were excited because they felt that they didn't know anybody in government, just because they register on the site, on the portal. From that portal, anytime there is opening in certain sectors, people are picked and pushed forth, not based on where they are from or the person that is their dad or what have you. That is what you should be giving credit to. Okay, thank you. Well, as we round off, let's look at this aspect outside these pledges. Let's look at the aspect of character. Sorry, because I didn't respond to the issue of. You see, he talked about the Gele seaport and he said
Benin Industrial Park.
Benin Industrial Park. Now, you see,
Technical College.
Benin Technical College is
under construction.
You should.
But we can't say we can't add our voices on this number of issues. There are a lot that we can't talk about here.
Technical College is a concluded job. Okay. When you say it's under construction, you are mixing it up. There could be somebody doing the renovation work in a specific building or doing some adjustment somewhere. That job is a completed job.
The Mini Technical College has always existed. That's always
okay, gentlemen, let's expand the horizon of this discussion. Now, let's expand the horizon, please. Please, Zachary, you are next. Let's expand the horizon of this discussion.
Okay, let's expand.
No, see, expand the discussion. He has put forth some pedestrian point. That's why I want to try to throw light on them. Governance is not child's play. There are processes. There are some things that you start in a day and you see the result in 3, 5, 6 months. There are some things you start in a day. The impact is swelling, but the result may take some while to manifest. On the issue of regulatory support, the progress being made on that road, if you say Ekema Road right now, is under construction. The target
point was than it used to be. Let's not dwell on the details because
I said it's under construction presently.
Okay.
When you know it's under construction, what do you expect? Is part of the job schedule in the completion of the regulatory support project. Do you think regulatory support is to build a primary school? I'm telling you,
I think you've articulated your point enough.
No, before I round up that point, in the history of Edo State, regulatory support has been existent not for 100 years, not for 200 years.
Gelegele support.
The Gelegele support. Hold on. It has been existent before, way back before Nigeria was colonized.
Yes.
That is categorical. Now, for a government to be visionary enough to consider that factor in the entrepreneurship program he earmarked, not that he even said it in clear terms when he was campaigning in 2016. I tell you in very clear terms. You can go and get he has points highlighted what he wanted to do. But they emphasize industrialization. Now, it is specified that support, but that comes under the industrialization that he was inclined to. Now, for a government to go about that policy, it must be given, in fact, the nation of it must be given some credit. What makes Lagos Lagos? Everybody is shouting Lagos, the 5th largest economy in Africa. The peculiarity of Lagos economy is centered around the fact that they are the only operational support in this country.
Thank you. I've given you enough time. Thank you, Zachary.
The argument is largely tied around.
Okay, Idris, I think let's expand, please. We can't dwell on this. Thank you. Well, it's this morning on ITV, and I'm still having this discussion with Frank Ehiosun, a political analyst, and also with Idris Zachary, a political activist. I think that's why we're having this heated debate. But Idris, you have the floor.
It's good for democracy.
Now, let's expand this discussion over character. Not just fulfilling promises, but character.
Of the individual.
Now, you agree with me that there's been this build-up with the PDP, the APC candidates in 2016, back 2016.
Way back.
And now in 2020, we have a swap. Yes, in parties, still having these candidates. Do you see that as character?
Well,
because in the course of this, a lot has been said by one party against another,
and then parties are
you are still facing the electorate. Yes, vice versa. Now you are still facing the electorate. Does that not depict a loss of character in this party?
I will not want to question any man's character on the strength that they have decided that where they used to be is no longer convenient politically, and then they move elsewhere.
Okay, but with the electorate, take it lightly over this.
There's freedom.
Because there could be an opportunity where all this could be used in elections. Even in campaigns.
If you question those who move from political party to political party, what will you say to those who move from state to state or from country to country? Okay. Sure, we are all Nigerians. Why do we have Nigerians abroad? If you feel that your potentials cannot be fulfilled where you are, you can go elsewhere. And that's why I don't begrudge the governor.
Okay.
And I don't begrudge the candidate of the APC. The governor, having found out that the progressive politicians that brought him to office no longer, or maybe his own policies no longer fit into the party, he went to the PDP, that is a more conservative party, where he can feel at home and is the leader of the party now.
Okay, nothing wrong with that, like you said.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
So you are free. Freedom of association is ingrained in the Constitution.
Okay, your final words in 1 minute.
In the final analysis, politicians must learn to say what they can do and do what they say. Big man promises, little achievement is no longer acceptable.
Not building bridges in where there are no rivers.
Yes, and mostly, a politician must be able to document what you hope and what you intend to do.
Okay.
I'll be reading the manifesto of the APC candidate. It's written. So if after reading this, God bless him, he wins, and in the next 4 years, I can now bring out and say, okay, in page 25 of your article.
Make a reference.
Yes, in page 25, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You said you were going to give loan to market women. Sir, you have not given. Please put
Thank you for articulating your point. In all of this, in 1 minute, round off, Frank.
In my kind of opinion, like I said earlier, according to what Peter Henry said, that you can tell the future by what has happened in the past. That's why I feel in very clear terms that Governor Obaseki has this comparative advantage because of what he has done as a sitting governor. That's the reason why I believe in very clear terms he should be given a mandate.
No. This is not a platform to,
okay, platform.
to do that, please.
Okay, it's a platform. Okay.
It's not a platform to campaign.
Okay, see my point. We are not campaigning, no doubt.
We are looking at the electorate. We are looking at promises.
Now, see the performance.
Yes.
There are so many firsts that I want to reference.
Yeah.
I made the first one just now. The issue of the idea of the Gilisi port. We have EDO GIS. We are all in this state. Few years back.
You are running off in less than 30 seconds.
I know. A few years back, you could take 2-3 years, you not get your CFO. Today, the price is not just brought down to as low as 50,000, but you can get it in a matter of weeks.
Okay.
Today, we have a state health insurance policy. It has never been in the history of this state. It has been passed into law, which means in no time, just like we have the NHS at the national level. Every citizen right now is captured in the public and private sector. At the day stage, it's been expanded to cover all and sundry. Okay. Whether you have money or you don't have money, you can access healthcare. That is the first of its kind.
But the problem is that the hospitals are not just there. So the policy is not enough.
The hospitals are not.
Hospitals big.
See, its development is in progress. Okay. You must measure performance based on available resources.
Okay, you are looking at continuity in governance, looking at projects. But again, do you also agree that even when the opposition party now gains power, some projects could be abandoned? Isn't that also worrisome?
No, but that's why, if you see the tendency of demand that is there presently, in sense of resourcefulness, go and see the Federal Secretariat. Those buildings were built by late Ogbomode as far back as early 70s, about 1974, thereabout. Admissions have come and gone, nobody gave you consideration. Okay. But a man who has the presence of mind to ensure that resources are not wasted.
He just renovated them.
Oh my God! I wish you had a picture to show what he's calling innovation.
Thank you.
For the first time, let me tell you something peculiar.
Okay, no.
In those places, workers, there's stretch where they can keep their kids.
Okay.
Pregnant women, married women can go to work. That's the kind of environment we want to for workers.
Thank you, Frank. Big thanks, Idris Zekari, for taking our time to be part of the show. I think we're going to do a season 2 of this someday. Well, this one we call it a wrap on the discussion, and insurance segment is next after this time out. Don't you go away.